Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of TWV Vivencia, the podcast. In this second season, Bridging the Gap. In this second season, we are bridging the gap between some of the top dance companies in the whole world and our community. TWV Vivencia will be collaborating with dancers who are or have been working with the greatest choreographers and companies of the 20th and 21st century. These incredible artists bring these incredible works and performances to life, and they have generously offered to share how they train in order to do so, their personal approaches to the company's technical style, cross-training for both body and mind, and staying creatively inspired. All this and more will provide a unique insight into how these dancers work, how they work within these companies, and how they bridge the gap between their previous training and what is required to work with those companies. I'm really happy to have today with us Mihalis Theophanous. Probably have said it wrong, but I'm going to ask him in a second. We met many years ago in Athens when I was the assistant director of Athina Bagla, and he was a student still at Kratiki. And then he was part of the piece that we were creating there, and I already fell in love with this guy. He's an amazing dancer, an amazing human being, and we just kind of were in contact for a while, but then we lost track of each other. And a couple of years ago, 3-4 years ago, I saw him performing again in London by the hand of Dimitris Papaioannou, first in a duet with Dimitris himself, and then in a group piece that was performed at Sadler's Wells. So yes, we go a long way back, and I was really excited to invite him to these classes because I know that he has a lot to say, and Dimitris' work is also very, very special. So we wanted to bring him to help us to bridge the gap in between what is the training that you get in schools, in vocational schools, and then the reality that you find with professionals like Dimitris. So before we go into that, thank you so much, Mihalis, for agreeing to be with us today and for teaching the classes with us next week. So really looking forward to see what you are about to do. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Good morning from my side, from sunny Athens. Yes, first of all, Jorge, it's true. We first met around 2008, 2009, around
Yes.
there. So we both facing that the years are passing really fast. You are super lucky that you still look the same.
I take it as a compliment.
Yes. Maybe few less hairs on your head, but you still look gorgeous. I think you fall in love with me because I was young and active. It's not the same now. 12 years later, it's a different perspective from my side. So yeah, let's see.
Let me tell you why I fell in love with you as a dancer. It's purely platonic, and now that you're in Athens, it's all about Platon, right? No, it's this guy. If you don't know him, he's tall. He's 184. He's very, very strong with broad shoulders, and I know that he's 184, so he's tall. So this is my first question: why dance, Mihalis? What happened there that you decided, okay, I'm gonna dance?
Such a cheesy question, but I will try to answer.
Cheesy question, you said?
Yeah, cheesy.
My apologies.
No, it's all right.
I'm genuinely curious.
When I decided to do dance, I wasn't that tall. So I wasn't really knew that I'm going to grow that much. No, I started as a kid, but with more typical things. I mean, like modern jazz, this kind of stuff, just to stay active. And probably my parents, they wanted to send me away from home for a couple of more hours, so they put me in the dance school. But I was a professional basketball player for years. I used to play in a national team in Cyprus for years. But I had to decide between dance or basketball, and I chose dance. Don't ask me why. I'm still wondering. I'm still looking the reason. I'm here. I'm surviving from that, and I'm enjoying it. And I didn't have a person that I admire and I say, I want to be like him, or like when I grow up. No, it's not a kid's dream or whatever. I was just there.
But we're very grateful that that happened, because I remember seeing you in the first piece that was called Splinter in the Cell with Athena Bakla, and then a few years later with Dimitris, and it's a gift to see you on a stage. So let's go into that. What is for you to be on a stage? What is, because we are talking a lot about performance presence and the experience of performing, and that's kind of like my research in that moment where you became one with dance. Being on a stage, what is the thing that you cherish the most?
I love this kind of questions.
So this one is not cheesy.
No, I love this one. Presence on stage, or how to stand on stage. It was part of my research I did a couple of years ago in a MRes, Master of Research, in one university in London. I don't have a specific answer why I like to be on stage. Let's take it opposite. I mean, always before you ended up on stage, there is a process working, like workshops, research, improvisations, rehearsals, as we say. And this part I prefer most than being on stage. Once you're on stage, unlikely, I don't want to confuse you, but I will go phrase, I will give some gaps, I will go in another paragraph, and I will fill up the gaps going on. Unlikely that small dance companies, they don't have the privilege to have more than 2-3 shows. And then they're waiting for the next tour, if they have a next theater to perform, for another 1 or 2 shows. Big companies, they're lucky enough or good enough to have a non-stop touring, so non-stop performing. Coming back to your question, being on stage, I like most when having the privilege to perform more than 2 or 3 times the same show, to explore myself on stage and improve that. I think having a premiere is not the end of the process, but it's the beginning of it. You need to expose an audience, you need to expose in open rehearsals, you need to watch yourself on video, as my friend Dimitris Papagiannou is saying right now. Face yourself and find a way to not make your moves better, but feel comfortable watching yourself. So being on stage, I love it because I'm trying to keep myself busy, let's say, and active. I will never comfort that, okay, we did the premiere, we did a couple of shows, we got it, it's there. No, you need to always find a reason to go and do it again, and stepping a bit further than what you did last time.
So I would like to go a tiny bit deeper in that, because there is something that comes over and over in my conversations. We have Ian Garside, which is with DB8, and working with Lloyd Newson. He's talking about that repeating material, and very similar. No, the premiere is only the very first stage to carry on working on that piece. So can you tell us concrete things that you remember that you do, or that you impose on yourself, or that you are asked by the director of your peers, that helps you to keep that curiosity, to keep that improvement, to what is the next thing to make it better or fresher, or keep developing?
Okay, I will take again as example Dimitris, because it's the guy I'm working now, and hopefully we'll have the chance to premiere this piece that we're working for even before the first lockdown. And finally, it's ready. Transverse orientation is the name. Check it. So what I like and I ask for, Dimitris, for example, he always gathers all the performers, all the team, and we watch together the last run through, and we keep notes through the last run through. And the strong example I remember from Still Life, it was a previous piece, the last piece I was participating on. We toured for 2 years, 1.5, 2 years. Even during the end of the tour, we used to have corrections, changes, and even a run through before the performance. That was really helpful for me. I mean, it always finds a way to keep it bubbling, keep you awake, and not just comfort that you're never bored. I mean, you're not going in a city and you say, I'm going to do it. I mean, you never know when Dimitris will arrive in the theater and he will say, okay, let's change this scene or change these cues. And cues for Dimitris' piece is by centimeters or by seconds, and it might fuck up your life. Oh, sorry, put a beep here. It can disorganize you or brings everything together and be more concentrated than you thought it could be for the show, before the show. Usually, most of the performers, they want this 1 hour before the show to relax, chill, get ready. No, I mean, even with Bob Wilson, I remember we were doing last minute changes. I mean, literally 10 minutes before the doors open for the audience, we still used to rehearse for a scene because he didn't like it from the previous show, from the previous day, not the previous show. I like it, and whenever I work with dancers as a director, I'm adopting these techniques from these two guys, and I want to use them for my own projects. I know people hate me for that, but at the end of the day, I see that there is a better result through that.
I fully agree, and there is something that I do also as a choreographer of those changes that somehow for me keeps the piece alive, because the performer never repeats what it was, so it's not about a representation of what it was, represent, it's about presenting something that's happening for the very first time in front of the eyes of the audience.
even the alphabet, if you start saying the alphabet, there is thousands of ways that you can say differently each time. So without losing the meaning, without losing it's the alphabet. It's A, B, C, D. But you can find 5 or 10 different ways to say A, B, C, D and still be the same thing.
Totally. So I would like to go a tiny bit deeper into that work with Bob Wilson and Dimitris Papaioannou, because if I remember correctly, you start working with those kind of referent legends very early on in your career. What were the gaps that you found in your training, things that no, in your school, in your vocational training, you didn't touch upon, that it was like, fuck, I'm not going to put a beep on that. How do I tackle this? I don't know how to do it, and you need to work your way through being mentored. What was the major ones?
Yes. First of all, they're both they're working in a very different way. Dimitris is more, let's say, I don't want to put a title under it, but it's more physical theater, and the final piece, it comes through months of workshops and improvisations. Bob, from the other side, he visualizes the whole piece in his head and comes with sketches, and he say, I want this, this and that. So let's take Bob first. Bob, my first collaboration was 2015. I was lucky enough. He saw me in Primal Matter, the duo I performed with Dimitris. He saw me in Moscow. And after that, he asked me to be one of his pieces, Adam's Passion. Adam's Passion was back 2015 in Estonia, Tallinn. I went there for 20 days, and in 20 days, the piece was ready. So everything was ready. He said, lights, stage, props, performance, movement. I arrived there. They gave me a video with Wilson's improvisation, and they say, learn it on the music. It was a live music, by the way. I was lucky enough to be on stage with Lucinda Childs, and a live legend of, yeah. And he said, look, Mihalis, we had a huge stage with a very long catwalk going through the audience. It was about 25 meters, 30 meters, something like that. And he said, look, Mihalis, I have, it's a piece that it lasts for 12, 13 minutes, something like that. And he said, I want to start from second 0 and arrive at the end of the catwalk, non-stop, but you have to manage to arrive there at the very end of the track. He didn't show me how. Nobody taught me in school how. I had so much muscle pain on my body because I had to struggle and find a way to cover 25 meters in 12 minutes in a fluent movement of my body, plus some extra hand gestures that Bob showed me to do, and always without being allowed to make a pose. After the 5th rehearsal, I was so excited because I was failing the previous rehearsals. And I was, shit, I'm 2 minutes earlier. Shit, I'm late. Shit, I can't do it here. So I found a personal way to make it happen, first of all, and be very precise each time. So I was in a position to correct the maestro, let's say. I'm not allowed to correct any maestro, but inside me, I was correcting the maestro that the violin was faster or slower sometimes. So yeah, long story short, nobody taught me in any school how to walk really slow, how to look that I'm still, but I'm not still, and how to sweat without even moving. With Dimitris, physical theater, let's say. Nobody teach you in any school how to face the audience, how to take off your jacket, how to be present on stage without over trying, without overexpose yourself. Look at me. Nobody taught me in school how to say that. Lift up your head, look at the audience for 2 seconds, take your look away, and this can be emotional moment. So let's say the timing on stage. Timing and spacing. How to create empty spaces, not to fill up empty spaces. I'm making clear myself, but how to create empty spaces. First of all, by yourself, your body, and then with your colleagues or stage or any prop. I mean, it should not be a freedom to stand whenever you want or anywhere you think you can stand, because it might cover a line from the set. You should be aware what's the space around you and what's happening around you. Dimitris taught me to look without looking, for example. Dimitris taught me to be aware what's happening without even following a music cue, but with the sounds that they're creating on stage, through my colleagues' actions, or taught me to look, taught me to use or learn how to use my peripheric vision without turning my eye to have a look. It's this blurry view that you don't see, but you're 100% sure what's happening around you or behind you. So no one taught me in any school how to do that. In schools, they're very good to teach you how to sweat, run, jump, roll, non-stop dancing, non-stop moving, but which they're all really useful, really, really useful. But to start moving and start running, you should start from stillness. There is a crucial, really thin line between 100% and 0. How you start running. Bob Wilson, he said once, it was a nice compliment. I'm shy to share that, but I will say it's a good example. He said, at this moment, I want you to be like a wild animal right before attacks for its prey. So it's a 0 point, and you have to go to 100% with nobody noticing. Is that okay?
That makes total sense. And I would like to jump a little bit more into you as a director, because as you said, there is always something that you are learning through that experience, being on a stage, working with these amazing legends. And I don't know if you know this, but it's an example that I always put in the £2 coin in the UK. There is in the edge of the coin, is said, in the shoulders, standing on the shoulders of giants. Or only in the shoulders of giants. So meaning that Bob and Dimitris, they are those giants in the dance world that by us standing on their shoulders, we can see a tiny bit farther. So I would like to know what are you seeing by standing on their shoulders, by the things that you've learning from them, by the things that you've experienced with them over the years. Now, as a director, as a choreographer, as a teacher as well, what are the things that you normally encounter the most that you want to pass to the dancers that you're working with, or the things that you feel that they are lacking that you try to help them with? So 2 questions. What are the things that you are interested in passing? What are the things that you feel generally that is lacking, and then you try to pass them because you feel that is very, very necessary?
Yes, I have really strong references to these 2 guys, because since 2011 I'm working with these 2 non-stop. So 10 years working with 2 specific directors with their very own unique work. Want it or not, somehow you adopt these references and it comes by itself in a studio, which it will take years for me to take it out. I can face it. I'm doing things which someone could easily say, yeah, he's copying. He's copying. I'm not copying, but it's not easy to take out from you. It takes time.
It's part of you now.
Yes. So I can imagine even these two guys, before they become who they are, they had someone as a reference, and it took them years to find their own path, find their own identity. Anyway, as a choreographer, let's say, I'm working very. I'm kind of visual, let's say. I will find, and I have a big problem with dramaturgy, huge problem with dramaturgy. So let's say I will find few images that I'm really interested, I really like, and with few connections between them. Of course, they have to be similar in a way that they can stand under the same content. And then I will go in a studio and I will say, okay, create this for me. How you can do that, and not just to reproduce the thing, but find me a way what's happening before and what's after that. I will leave them improvise a lot. Give me the most best example that they think they can give me, and then I will work on that. Because when you as a performer, let's say, when you present something and you think that's the best I can give now, there are more that you can give, but you have no clue. I like to work a lot with props, with objects. I like to work a lot with costumes, weird costumes or masks. And I like to create not creatures, but performers with no real identity face-wise. I mean, I like to use masks all the time. So what I will ask from one of my dancers, if we go in the studio, I'm not really into dance. I know they can do it. If I need it, I will ask it. I will ask for sure. Usually the rehearsal starts with an improvisation, asking, do your most silly or your most weird or your most unusual movement that you think you can do. That's a way to see their body possibilities, the movement possibilities, what a body can do. And then I'm taking this and I will stretch it. I will stretch the dancer. I will push the dancer to see their limits. Because working with someone is not just a physical action, but is the personality as well. I want to see how far I can go with this person. Not bullying in a bullying way, but how strict I can be with you without losing your inspiration or your creativity.
Would you be able to remember any specific process with you as a director in which you can tell us a little bit how you did that pushing the limit? So I asked this person this in particular. Can you remember something concrete that happened already?
Pushing the limits. Yeah, no, not really. But for example, Reverie is the last creation I did with a colleague, Georgia Tegu, back in London. And we had rehearsals, and one of the guys was wearing a mask. You were not really able to see through the mask. And I asked him, I want you to go very precisely from here to there in that timeline. And he said, but I cannot see. And I asked him, find a way. But not as a beach, but I'm sure that if I can do it, you can do it as well. Because sometimes before I ask to my performers something like that, I will try by myself first to see if it's possible or not. I will put the mask with no holes, and I will try to cover that space to see if I'm able to do it. If I'm able to do it, you are able to do it. And if you think that you have less experience than me, that's why I'm here from outside, not because I have more experience, but to guide you, because I've passed it already. And not because I think I'm better than you. What I'm saying, if I can do it, you can do it, is because we're exactly the same. You can walk slow, you can walk blindfolded, you can walk fast, and you can do this path in this very precise time and space on that music, for example. And the guy was struggling because he was holding two portable lights as well. And I asked him, look, I know you cannot see, but I want you to let this one and that one at the very this point. And he said, but how? I cannot see. And at the beginning, I was saying, you have to find a way. And then once I saw that he needed some help, he was struggling. I asked him, okay, take off your mask, hold the lights, show me where you have to point. He did. And then I say, okay, lock your wrist, how it is holding the light now, so to LED, if it's turned like that, lock that, and through body memory, you should be able to do it without looking. And he did. Yeah, I'm not really a bitch. I'm not an asshole. I can be an asshole, but I'm not. If I see that someone has potentials to be really good and do something really good, I will really trigger you. I will really push you to your limits. I'm not going to make you cry, or I can be your best friend, but inside the studio, I'm trying to separate these two things, personal and professional. Yeah.
And I guess that sometimes that idea of finding the solution, that's where the true magic of performing arts comes, because you might find a way of solving that possibility, but another dance find another one, and that's what it makes the performance unique by the performers that you are working with.
It's a collaboration. I might struggle to find a transition, let's say, or whatever, and I will say to one of the dancers, okay, let's roughly and with the most funny way jump from one scene to the other, but pretend that it's a performance. And they do something incredible, and they say, why you didn't fuck propose this to me, or why I didn't fuck thought about that before. And they're laughing because they think it was just a joke. No, it's not a joke. Sometimes the natural way, jumping from one to the other, is the most natural way. I mean,
the group wisdom as well. You can go farther with many different ideas. So this is a little bit how you work as a director choreographer. Can you tell us a tiny bit more how you work as a teacher? What is a little bit in more concrete ways? What is the structure of the class, if there is a structure? And can you share with us a couple of exercises that you've shared in the past when you are in the studio?
Yeah, as when I give, first of all, I'm not a regular based teacher anywhere. I'm not really a big fan of that. I prefer to give workshops. Always when I arrive to a workshop space, I'm carrying a suitcase with me. with plenty of props and objects, or masks, or costumes, or whatever. I do like work with objects. So I open that suitcase and I say to them, choose. So one part of workshops is working with these objects and see the storytelling through an object that they never saw before, and they choose like that, like a kid in a candy store. It goes and it chooses the more shine or the bigger or the but you don't know that the biggest object is not the most easy handling object sometimes. Anyway, then another thing is I like to work on how a person moves on space. For example, I give a path and I say you go from here there, you come back, backwards, sideways, whatever. Never in a dancey way, like a normal and natural walk. And in between this path, I ask them to do, for example, a pose. Choose to do a pose here and look on your right. That's the only task. That's the only choreography that could be in that exercise. Pose and look on your right. And then through that each exercise, for example, you see sometimes how uncomfortable they feel when they have to pose and expose themselves without doing nothing, and how fast they turn their head and come back so to get away from that. Sometimes I'm asking, for example, take the chair, the example I said before, take the chair from standing position to a final sitting position, you have to spend 5 minutes. Non-stop, and the opposite, from sitting to standing. They are kind of unorthodox, my workshops. I don't have a real structure, what I was about to do. I'm going with 3-4, let's say, exercises. I'm going with my suitcase. And then the next days, I go with the flow by seeing what the bodies I have, what the people I have in my studio, they need, or with improvisational exercises under that thing. The next days, I don't have a structure. Oh my God, I'm 35 and I don't have a structure.
Honestly, Mihalis, no structure at all. This is not possible.
Oh my God.
I'm gonna call the Church of Dance and telling this guy should be out of the dance community with no structure for the classes. That's why I'm very excited to have you next week teaching for Towards Vivencia, because those are the things that are very, very necessary but rarely approached. So I'm really looking forward for the people who are coming to these classes to have the opportunity to work on those things that are rarely having the time to work. And normally when you have the necessity to work for them, it's somehow a little bit too late, because you are already in the professional experience in which you are being demanded to do that, and therefore the pressure is much higher, rather than, okay, I'm in a workshop, I'm in a class, I'm going to be working on this, and I have the time and the guidance.
It's never too late. Meaning that, like me, nobody taught me these things I'm using now in school. So I had to find a way by myself, and with a really good mentors. I'm saying I'm not here to teach. I don't like the word teach. I'm just here to share very basic and very boring exercises that you might use or might never use in their career. I mean, more than free to keep it, more than free to throw it away and say, fuck, I waste 1.5 hours from my life. But you never know when it will be the moment to use them. And one I say it many times, shit, I never had someone to tell me that. I never had someone to show me how to do that. But from the other side, I feel not lucky, but I feel okay because I found my own way to do it. With, of course, good mentors next to me, guiding me what's the best way for them or for me to do it. So yes, stillness. And actually, stillness is not boring for me. Okay, big lesson I had with Dimitris through the performances. During the rehearsals for Primal Matter, the duo, we used to do the two of us. I was the naked one, he was the black dressed one. During the rehearsals, there is a moment in the piece that I have to, he leave me there and I have to stand for 3 minutes alone, and he goes away, he goes outside the stage, he goes outside the theater. And during the rehearsals, I was like, it's a moment, a good moment for me to rest. I have 3-4 minutes, whatever, cool, I can stand here. But when the moment came that I had to face hundreds of audience in front of me, these 3-4 minutes, it was an endless nightmare. And this guy, he never told me, look, it's not a break. Look, it's not an easy moment. So when the first show came and I had to stand there for 3 minutes, facing the audience and with nothing else happening on stage, so you know that 500 pairs of eyes are looking at you and only you, I couldn't shit my pants because I had no pants. But that was one of the biggest lessons I got. Standing still and facing the audience without doing nothing is not an easy task. I'm not saying that I have the guts, but you need balls to do that. Yes.
Definitely. And when you were talking, I was thinking how many of the things we do in schools or in normal training that we never use, but how necessary they are. As you were saying before, they teach you how to run, how to roll, and how to do contractions if you do Graham at some point, and you might never use those on a stage, but learning how to do them and the training is what it makes us what we are, a continuous developing body of knowledge that you can then offer different solutions to different choreographers when you work with them. And that's what I'm really looking forward to see what you have to offer next week, that are things that, as you said, people might use them or not, but definitely are going to develop their practice.
I mean, at the end of the day, we train our body, we train our tool, we sharp our knife. But then it's not necessarily that we going to use all of them in our career, let's say. Career, okay. But from the other side, it's on our hand what we want to keep using from this material that they offer us.
So let's finish with this, Mihalis. I'm really looking forward to have you with us next week in your classes. But just very quickly, can you tell us what is waiting for you in 2021 and a little bit afterwards, where we can find you, your work, and more about you, just for us to follow? What's up?
Okay. First of all, what is waiting for me in 2021 is what it was waiting for me in 2020, but I wasn't able to do that. Please, guys, stay safe. Please be patient. The time will come. Anyway, I'm part of a new piece, as I said before, of Dimitris Papaioannou that we supposed to premiere 2020, but it was postponed for 2021, 2022. Transverse orientation. Then I'm discussing with the National Opera here in Greece they have an online festival, and they invited me to create a solo or a duo, whatever, with the dancers. And I'm invited from the Cyprus Pavilion for the Biennale, Architecture Biennale, to do a let's say performance art for their opening days. Yeah. With Dimitri's piece, it's quite busy because we have a lot of cities to visit. Hopefully soon. But yes, that's the three main things I have to do, and the workshop.
Well, I'm really looking forward to see you in the flesh, hopefully on a stage and off stage, and then we can share another coffee. And thank you so much once again for this conversation. Really, really exciting to see the boring stuff that is going to happen next week. It's boring, exciting.
Guys, if you're expecting to do backflips and jump around, don't join my workshop. Yeah, please don't. You're gonna be disappointed. Yeah.
No, I think it's clear what we're going to be doing with you. Mihalis, once again, thank you so much, and I'll see you very, very soon.
Thank you for having me. Talk to you.
Ciao, ciao.
Ciao.